Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey, what's up?
How are you?
Good, how are you? What are y'all up to?
Just got
Some
off of work.
classic.
Work?
Yeah.
I just got back from a 13-mile bike ride.
Wow.
Whoa.
What?
Okay, now I feel like researching grants all day was just unproductive use of my time. So of course Haley's gonna win.
All right, well, thank you guys for talking with us today. We're really interested in hearing from you all about what you've been doing in this new environment now with the coronavirus, how that's been affecting people in the workplace with learning and attention issues. So I just kind of wanted to ask you some questions and have a conversation about it, if that's cool.
Sure.
Sounds
Cool.
That
good.
sounds like a lot of fun.
I might
Absolutely.
fidget a lot though, so.
Yeah, totally. So my first question is, how has your job essentially changed during this coronavirus health crisis?
I
Great.
guess. Oh, go for it.
No, go for it.
Okay. So I have been working from home for the past 2 weeks. I got off or asked to work from home a little early, just because of where I live. Um, so
Where
it's
do you
been a
live?
little freaky. I'm in New Rochelle. It's a little freaky around here. A lot of National Guard people, not a lot of cars on the road, so makes runs to Taco Bell really awkward. But um, it's kind of nice working from home, but it's also difficult splitting the home life and the work life. I really have begun to appreciate the separation between personal and work life, because now it's sort of all meshed together into one big thing. So it can be a little stressful at time managing both of those different lives and activities at once.
Yeah, definitely.
So right before all of this kind of transpired, I started a new job. I finished AmeriCorps towards the end of January, so I knew I wanted to start working um, a few weeks later. So I applied for a few jobs and was luckily asked to join an office and to join a small nonprofit. And I accepted my job offer on Tuesday. And then on Friday, my boss called and said that we were going to close our office and that I would need to work remotely.
Cool.
So, in the spirit of working remotely, I followed my parents to Long Island where they have a house. And I'm working remotely with two parents at home, a professor and a business owner. So I kind of am meshed in the middle of chaos, but it's been kind of unique just figuring out how to work from home with two people who are really good at their jobs when my motivation is at zilch, also known as zero.
Well, that's awesome that you guys are able to work from home. Unfortunately, I lost my job due to the coronavirus. I was working as a waitress. I recently relocated to Charlotte, North Carolina, and I figured the best way to meet people and get started was to work at a restaurant. And I was actually right in the middle of applying to some new jobs. I want to do catering and event planning. So obviously that's a field that is deeply affected. So having a lot of free time is not something that I'm used to. I'm used to working like 50 plus hours a week without a real schedule. So since the virus kind of started, I kind of felt like, not that it was good, but for me, I was kind of at that breaking point in my job where I was overworking myself. And so I've kind of taken this time to do some self-healing and to get back to what I've been wanting to do in the free time I haven't had for the last 4 or 5 months.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for
Pretty
sharing
interesting.
that.
That was really
Uh, Sorry. I was just gonna say it's interesting that you bring up the lack of routine. I think that I've heard that pretty synonymously across a bunch of different disciplines and fields. Is that just a lack of having some schedule to follow is really difficult for people's psyche. I know that especially every morning I have to wake up, and I have to follow a routine to get ready for work and be on time to the train or to my job. So being at home, I'm kind of more inclined to just stay in bed really late and then not follow a routine. And I found that it can make you really depressed to just kind of not get into a routine. Like, oh, I'm just gonna stay in my pajamas all day. Um, so that's one thing actually for giving advice out here is make sure you get up and you brush your teeth and you take a shower and
And
get ready for work like you're gonna go to the office. Because like again, if you don't separate those two lifestyles, it becomes very confusing.
I completely agree. Working in a restaurant, I didn't have a set schedule. So I definitely was starting to become a little depressed, I would say. I'm the kind of person that is very organized, and kind of in college, everything had a list, everything had a color code on that list. And now that I'm not working and I could stay in bed all day, or I could stay in my pajamas all day, I make sure that I get up at around the same time every morning. I'm dressed at the same time every morning, dressed with a bra on, because for me, that's how I know that like it's time to work. No, I'm not working. And make sure that I get a certain amount of exercise every day, and that I eat at least 2 meals a day, and that I get to go outside. Living in Charlotte, it's a lot warmer down here than what I'm used to. So getting out and getting that vitamin D is super important to me. So I'm actually doing a lot better, even though I'm not working right now. Personally, I'm doing better. Like, I can feel it. I feel great all the time. And I just have to not think about how not making any money right now. Thankfully, after college, I got to live at home for a couple of years, and I saved some money. So that's definitely helping now. I didn't think at 25 I'd apply for unemployment, though.
Yeah, that's really hard. Really, thank you for sharing that.
Of
And I
course.
guess you guys talked about like keeping routine. That's really important. Are there any other tools or resources that you guys are using, whether you're working or you're at home and trying to fill your day with other things?
I think one of the hardest like challenges like I'm facing right now is like to medicate or not to medicate, because in the sense that like medication works really well if you're taking something like I do, like Ritalin, that's designed to keep you focused. But the truth of the matter is I've never really taken Ritalin at home. It's always been something I took at school or at work, and now like deciding whether or not I want to take it again at home, and how it will affect my mood, and how I'm around my parents, because obviously the breaks, like we take a lunch break every day, and that just helps us regroup and see each other's faces and make sure we're still human. But just like to medicate or not to medicate is still like an issue that I'm facing.
I don't know how
Are you guys medicating at all, if you're like open to talking about it?
Yeah, so I don't know how your medication affects you, but mine is something I only take when I really need to focus. And it suppresses my appetite, which is why I have to remember to eat sometimes. But right now I have a lot of reading that I can finally do, magazines. If I want to get my room cleaned up, I really need to focus on that. So I've taken my medicine twice in the last 3 weeks. And I've definitely noticed a difference. I'm definitely a lot more productive. Doesn't necessarily mean that I want to be taking it.
I totally understand that. But the real issue at times is like, I don't know if it's like remembering to take it. It's more like this new normal of working at home, and obviously finding like fidgets and ways to like cope. So like taking walks and making sure I take breaks, because like staring at the computer for 8 hours with these grant filings is like, oof, that's just intense.
Hard.
But it's hard. But I think like having that balance and finding those breaks has been really helpful. And like with the meds, always eating, making sure you're eating, because mine also suppresses my appetite.
Yeah, taking breaks is a really good recommendation. Do you guys also, I would love to hear about examples that your employer or that you've started routines with your friends that have been working as well too.
I love the check-ins, honestly. Like my boss and I like will email on various topics throughout the day. And this morning when we emailed about like just putting together our spreadsheet for our grants, she just said, she knows I love to cook. She said, "Hey, what did you cook this weekend?" And it was a great way to just like talk about something other than work. And having been in this, like, I've been in my office for less than a month, like just knowing that my boss knows I have an interest outside of the office, like shows like, hey, we're both human. We both like to cook. Like, what are we sharing with our families? And, I made a tomato soup before I started work for the day that was like on the stove all day, just like getting ready to be pureed. And I joked like, oh, I just made tomato soup, but my mom doesn't want grilled cheese with it. What kind of person thinks that way? And she emailed back and well, it's got to be like the classic Wonder Bread with like cracked cheese that I bought. She's like my mom's age. Okay, that's okay. Like, she sees that like I'm human and I have a life outside of doing grant research and appealing to our donors. So like finding that balance of like having an interest outside the office, like cooking for me has been so great. And I know Haley also likes to bake. So Haley, have you baked anything you can share? I like long
I made
distance
challah the other
takeout.
night, but I left it in the oven too long, and
Oh no.
then it doesn't taste very good. But I think I'm gonna make babka tomorrow. It's supposed to rain here, so I'm gonna be stuck in all day.
Leave your addresses in the comments. Haley delivers.
Haley delivers.
Yeah, so baking, routine, these all sound like really good things to talk about. And I know, Julia, also yoga, you've talked about
Yeah.
before. Yeah, I've seen some pictures and videos of you doing yoga. I think that's also a great thing to mention. And then kind of, I wanted to talk to you all about like what advice would you give other people who are in the workforce or looking for work or unemployed at the moment, that have learning and attention issues?
Yeah, absolutely routine.
We all agreed on that.
Yeah, routine. That's key, but also just knowing yourself. You know, nobody really knows you except yourself. And if you feel like you're kind of going reckless, like this might be a really good time to like reach out to other people because everybody's kind of feeling it the same way, regardless if they're working or not working. That like, you know, socially distancing ourselves is making it really hard to like want to talk to each other. But I think
Yeah.
more than ever, we need to check in with each other mentally.
And I also want to add, as far as using your resources, you know, I've been finally reading all these articles I pinned years ago, and I've been using my text to speak, or not my text to speak, my you know, the little guy on the computer that reads to you.
Read and write gold.
And even though I don't really have a job, I'm still making a list. I'm still making sure that I feel accomplished and that I'm accomplishing things, even if it's not for payment.
You know, reading is honestly such a great way to like escape and to feel like you're in another world.
And then there's the other thing. If you don't feel like reading or you're not a good reader, instead of just watching a silly show on Netflix, you can watch a documentary and you can still educate yourself and you can still feel like you're learning something and feel like something more than you is mattering. That's
so true.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
absolutely makes sense. Just making a point to set aside time to do something that you don't usually do, or maybe set aside time for a hobby. Like I play music, and it again, it's easy to just sit down and like use my computer all day and then forget what time it is. But to sit down and like really try to create something, is it really can help you keep from going insane.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really great point. I myself am doing watercolor, which I love. I'm doing it like
Nice.
almost every day now because I have so much time to do it. But yeah, that's really great, guys. Thank you for talking with me, and I'm really glad that you guys are pushing forward. Hopefully we'll get through this soon together. But yeah, thank you.